Shot fired.
Hey guys, welcome back to A to Z EDC. My name is Jim, and today we get to do what I consider to be the most exciting portion of my review process. Everything starts with a desktop video, which is a desktop overview, and in many cases, an unboxing and initial impressions. Then I move on to shots fired, where I get to take that gun to the range, put it through its paces, see what it's really like, test the reliability, give you feedback on its shooting characteristics, and all that fun. And then I generally round everything out with a week in the waistband where I take one gun and one holster and only wear that gun for an entire week to give you an idea of what it's like to really live with it. So today we're in that middle section with the new H&K CC9. Now, as I mentioned in my desktop video, it took me a long time to get my hands on one of these. It was a struggle and a half, but I'm glad that I did so far. It is very, very, very compact, very slim, very small, very easy to carry. Not too dissimilar from a SIG P365. But since I don't trust SIG anymore, I've gotten rid of all of my SIGs. And I don't plan on buying more because I don't want to give them any more money. So the great thing is HK is one of my favorite brands of all time. I'm not a fanboy. I don't subscribe to just falling into a camp of I only buy this brand or only buy that brand. I think that that's restrictive and stupid. But I do love HK, and I've never had one that ever let me down. I've owned a lot, from the Supreme as the PSG-1, all the way down to, what would you consider bottom of the barrel for what I've owned? VP9, I suppose. I've had USPs in between there. I've had P7 M8s. I've owned 3 of those. I love HKs. I think they're phenomenal. But they're not perfect. Now, I expect this to be as close to perfect as can be expected. I'm also going to be leaving this one without an optic because I don't want the extra size of an optic for a change, because I really want this to be as small as it can be, mainly for pouch carry, for fanny bag carry, that sort of thing, where it's locked in a holster, it's secured properly, but it's in a small confined space, and it's easy to get out snag free, and I don't have to worry about an extra inch and a quarter of height in order to fit it in. This is going to be great. It also carries really well in an IWB holster as well, so I have 0 complaints. Taking it out to shoot today, I honestly think that it's going to be totally fine, no issues. But we'll experience that together as we head out to the range right about now.
From Oberndorf to the USA, the Germans said, "Ja, let's build it their way." American steel, American hands, building something sexy, something we understand. Small but mean, it screams with pride. A pocket rocket with that HK vibe. Feels so good, you'll never forget. Shot tight group, you're already wet. CC9.
I think probably the most surprising takeaway from today's rain session was the fact that the Staccato CS did actually perform more admirably than I expected. I did expect it to be a little bit more jumpy in the hand. I did expect it to be a little bit more snappy. So that's why I decided it needed to go out with the maiden voyage of my CC9 so that I could really see the differences between what I knew would be a supremely tiny gun that would deliver a good amount of snap in the CC9 and see if the Staccato CS would be significantly better or on par with the CC9. And I gotta say, the CC9 was a little snappier than I expected. I expected from the old days when the VP9sk hardly jumped at all in the hand. I kind of assumed HK would have put the same type of recoil system in the CC9. They did not. So that was a bit of a disappointment. And the CS, while I still say that it's not living up to the hype that the shells like to put on it, which is it shoots exactly like a bigger gun, I think the biggest gun it's going to shoot like is the Staccato C at best. And the C is not that much larger than the CS. It's not shooting like a P, certainly not shooting like an XC. So I'm not sure what people are trying to compare it to. It does shoot very close to a C. And you know what? For a gun with a 3.5-inch barrel that is that easy to conceal, I'm very, very, very happy with that. Once I got the dot zeroed in, it was wonderfully accurate, handled faster repetition and double taps just fine. I have zero complaints about that gun, except for obviously the initial cost and the utter stupidity of not getting a truly optic ready gun when you buy an optic ready gun for over $2,500. That's it. If that's my biggest complaint, that's pretty damn good. And here's the part where I say exactly what you expect me to say. The gun shot flawlessly. It's an HK. It's going to run fluid, it's going to run reliably, and it's going to take something major to give it a big hiccup. So, as expected, the gun was perfectly reliable. Went bang when I wanted it to go bang. That's all you can really ask for. But here's the thing that I didn't expect to be saying. I'm a little disappointed in HK. As I said before on the drive home, yes, it was less snappy than I would have expected for a gun this size, in that Glock 43 size. Glock 43 is terribly snappy. It was one of my least enjoyable experiences of shooting my carry guns. I just didn't enjoy it. And as each micro compact came out after the Glock 43, they kept getting better, including with Glock with the 43X. Having that extra little bit of grip length really did make a difference. The 6-hour P365, that was a noticeable difference for the better. Although it, of course, was still a little bit snappy. Then you got to the P365 XL. That took care of that. That was fantastic. Then you get to the P365 macro. And now you're starting to get into bigger and bigger and bigger guns. But after owning a VP9 and VP9sk and recognizing, shooting them immediately, one after the other, that the SK shot every bit as good as the full size, I expected the same type of recoil system in this. I mean, even Staccato upgraded theirs for the CS. So I kind of expected something similar to the VP9sk in the way this felt, and it just didn't. Now, I've only got 200 rounds through it, so the trigger has not changed. You see it's got that staginess to it, that creep to it. What you can't see is the weight. That's definitely over 5 pounds. And, well, of course, that's safer and recommended for carry. I'd like it to be between 3.5 and 4.5. That's just a personal preference. But that also doesn't mean that HK has to do that, because it's my personal preference. I think most people will agree that around a 5.5 pound trigger is where you probably want to be for a carry gun. That's why Glock has always stayed in that range for Glock, for carry and for duty. Now, what I did was I brought these bad boys out side by side, because what I really wanted to do with the CS was see if it was going to be as snappy as a true micro compact, as a teeny tiny gun, or if, like everybody says, that it does shoot like a bigger gun than it is. I was pleasantly surprised with Staccato. Now, I still don't believe that it shot like a Staccato P, but it could have passed for a C very easily. So it does perform like a slightly bigger gun. And yes, the ejection port does throw a lot of carbon up on your optics. Take a look at that. So for me, the verdict is I like it, but I don't love it. Am I going to make this a daily carry? It will be a carry, but I think what it's going to end up being is trade bait for something else that I want to get my hands on. So this might get replaced with an IWI Masada Slim. That's one I've been considering for a while. Or something completely, entirely different that does even fit the role that this fit. Because I do have a few other micro compacts. So I don't know. So the duration of time that I keep it, I'm going to enjoy it. I think it's fantastic for a carry gun. I do like how accurate it was. These sights are absolutely fantastic. And I think it had reasonable accuracy for the size of gun that it is. The trigger is nothing to write home about. The sights are fantastic. The ergonomics are nice. It does feel a little fatter than it really is, because they give you a little bit more room from front strap to back strap, especially when you put in the larger back strap like I've done. I have the medium back strap in there, but it really fills the hand better than, say, a P365 does. This is closer to the P365 with the Wilson Combat grip module. Yeah, I'd say that's much closer to that. So ergo's pretty damn good. Sight's fantastic. Trigger, accuracy, pretty darn good for its size. The follow-up shots came pretty quickly. I was able to get that front sight right back down where I wanted, and that's the other big thing. Yes, it was snappy, but it was controllable, and it was quick to get back to zero. And that's something that I think a lot of people forget to mention when they're talking about the muzzle flip and recoil of a particular gun. And it only seems to get brought up when people are talking about ported and compensated guns. But yes, a big factor for me in talking about the recoil and muzzle flip is the fact that it does go right back very, very quickly to zero. So there's really nothing to complain about. It's me just being very, very picky because I have a lot of guns to choose from. So I have the luxury of being able to say, Here is a brand new HK, first time ever made in the United States. This landmark of a pistol, first time we've seen a new HK model in about a decade. This is one of the most exciting things to hit the market in 2025. However, I can't be an HK fanboy. I can't overlook the little things that bother me or the little things that I feel should have been a little bit more exceptional. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Because overall, it's not disappointing at all. It just doesn't live up to what I had expected from HK historically. If you've never owned an HK, if all you've had is, Tauruses and Springfields and things like that, I think you're going to be wonderfully impressed with this, especially for the fact that, it actually runs reliably, which if you're buying those two brands, you're not entirely used to. So would I tell somebody to buy it? Yeah, if you don't have a huge collection and a lot of guns that would be competing with this one directly, then I think you're going to love it. I think that there are so many options out there right now, like the FN Reflex, the Reflex XL, the Glock 43X, the Shadow Systems XR920, I'm sorry, not XR, CR920P. I have the CR920XP and absolutely love it. You have the IWI Masada, another excellent choice. Of course, the M&P Shield. I have the Carry Comp. You guys will see me review that. I enjoy that gun. That's pretty fantastic. And I think if I didn't have that one, I'd be a little bit more attached to this one. And I think that when I think about these two side by side, I'd rather have the Shield Plus Performance Center Carry Comp than this. And I'm pretty certain that most people would feel the same way. I think this is pretty much in line with the Canik Mete Prime. Very, very close competitor, with this one not being ported in any way, but I think it's a very, very close competitor. Got a lot of choices out there. This, I don't think, is the end-all be-all as much as I would have liked it to have been. It's just not. It's good, but it's not great. And HK, let's face it, HK should always be great. They should always be head and shoulders above everything else that's available on the market. And that's just not the case here. So them's my thoughts. Thank you guys for joining me as always. And maybe we'll do some comparisons in the near future between this, the CR920XP. I definitely want to take this out and put it up against the Bull Armory SAS2 EDC Pro. So there's going to be a lot more content coming out with both of these, or at least that one for sure. But we'll see. I'll see you guys on those videos.